With over 300 million subscribers, MrBeast is the largest creator on YouTube, and for so long he seemed untouchable. But people have finally seen behind the MrBeast curtain, and things are not as wholesome as MrBeast and his team would lead you to believe. For the last 2 months, it seems as though new disturbing controversies are breaking almost every other day about MrBeast and his company, which is especially disturbing given the vast majority of his audience is made up of children. The first allegations to get mainstream attention were in regards to MrBeast's lifelong best friend, Ava Kris Tyson, who's been featured alongside MrBeast on his channel since the very beginning. While working on a larger deep dive video about the MrBeast controversies, I found something interesting in an old MrBeast video that I haven't seen anyone else discussing, and it's added a lot more fuel to the speculation that MrBeast could have possibly known a lot more about Ava and the allegations surrounding her than is being reported.
I'm a YouTuber because I want to make a lot of money. I mean, why else would I be a YouTuber? Well, women are stupid because they're inferior to men. And because they're inferior, they have smaller brains, which obviously makes them stupider. And that's also why you can't respect women, you know. But you got to act like you respect them. You'll never actually respect a woman, but just act like you respect them. And you'll be fine with that. And you also ended up with saying, I just want to have sex with them. And that's pretty normal. I mean, why else were women created? Why are my fans little kids?
Consider this an extra video, as when I do videos about developing stories, if they were to be my usual deep dives, they'd be kind of out of date by the time I finish them. So as millions of people know, over the last month and a half, a plethora of allegations and claims have been levied against the #1 channel on YouTube, MrBeast. The first story to break the dam was the allegations against Ava Kris Tyson, and that is MrBeast's lifelong best friend and someone who is heavily featured on his channel from the beginning. So in today's video, we're going to be discussing the allegations against Ava Kris Tyson, along with some other information that I found that I don't see anyone on YouTube discussing. Before we get into everything, I do want to provide you some important context regarding Jimmy Donaldson, MrBeast himself. As most people are aware, Jimmy Donaldson became obsessed with YouTube at a very early age. He was born in Kansas and was the middle of 3 children. His family reported that growing up, he had a fierce competitive streak, which made it impossible to play things like Monopoly with him. There's quite a few people I've spoken about on this channel who seem to fly into fits of rage when they were playing Monopoly as kids. According to Donaldson's mother, Sue Parisher, who actually wrote a book and a blog, this is where I read a lot of this information, Donaldson was raised in large part by multiple au pairs and spent his adolescence in Greenville, North Carolina, and most of his childhood too, and he went to a private Christian school there. His mother was a lieutenant colonel in the armed forces and was the warden of a military prison. Today, she is the chief compliance officer at his YouTube empire, and many of MrBeast's former employees have referred to Sue Parisher as a bit of a momager. I also think that it's quite a strange thing to put your mother in charge of chief compliance officer, and according to some of the Times articles and a lot of other people who have worked at MrBeast, she was kind of the HR department. And I know HR departments are there primarily to look out for the company, but still for your employees to not be able to go and speak to anyone in HR about the boss, because what are they going to say? They're speaking to his mother. Like, what exactly is she going to do? There is a lot more to discuss about MrBeast's mother because she actually has a wild power of attorney and is in control of a lot of what is going on there. I will speak a little bit about that later in the video, but I really suggest watching a content creator called BJ Investigates, and her second channel, That Surprise Witness. Everything again is linked in the sources, because she did a deep dive into MrBeast's mother and his cousin on his father's side, James Warren, who is the CEO of MrBeast, the company. And she also is a lawyer, so she really was able to go through a lot of the documentation. And I do suggest watching that video. It's in the sources. Jimmy Donaldson obsessed over YouTube to the point that he did nothing else for several years but isolate himself in his room and study YouTube. His channel was originally based around gaming, and then he transitioned into making a series called Worst Intros. And this series primarily was watching a lot of children's videos and then making fun of them. And these were really young children. And of course, all of these videos have been deleted from his channel now. But speaking of deleted videos, there are a lot that have important context in them, but there's one especially that I really found surprising when I was watching it. So I will show you that in just a minute. After MrBeast did his Worst Intros series, he began to gain a little bit of traction on YouTube, and he did several other series and started doing random stunt videos, like saying Logan Paul's name over and over for hours on end. And these stunt videos were primarily produced solely to go viral. Most people that start YouTube, especially then, were doing it because they primarily enjoyed making videos. And while, of course, everyone on YouTube wants attention and views, that isn't the sole motivating factor for most people. MrBeast, whenever he started doing a lot of these stunt videos, he then started to do these giveaway charity videos where he would give money that he'd got from sponsors away to random people, and he then would keep the AdSense himself. And he really started to grow his channel when he started doing this. 5 months after MrBeast hit 1 million subscribers, he posted a video on his channel about a new purchase he'd made. He posted this video 2 months after his first really viral video, which was where he had a sponsor him and give him $10,000. And he gave that sponsor's $10,000 away to a random homeless man.
Buy my merch. To be fair, I really want to make a video where I give a homeless man $100,000 because I think that would go hella viral. So if you guys buy enough merch, we can definitely do that video next week. Just saying.
In this video that I'm talking about that he posted 2 months after that one, he had bought a new car, and he'd bought a BMW i8, and that's what he titled the video. I bought a BMW i8, $100,000, as in the car costs $100,000. MrBeast and his PR team, and I can't imagine the amount of people that he has working on his image and the company's image, but they have very much rewritten his past and his motivations, because the narrative that they push out constantly was that he, for many years, didn't spend money on himself. He doesn't want any sort of lavish lifestyle, and his whole motivation was about doing good, and he only started YouTube to do good. And when he got that sponsorship, it was all about, what can I do with this money that's going to be really good, when in reality that was not true at all. But you will see a lot of this very contradicting information that is constantly coming out about pretty much everything in general, especially when it comes to do with money. Even though MrBeast and his channel clearly give a lot of money away, he makes even more. And as I just said, he would give sponsor money away, but he would keep the YouTube money. So it wasn't like he was giving away everything, although they do really try and push that narrative a lot. I do for 1 second want you to put a pin in that BMW i8 $100,000 car. I'm sure you're probably thinking, why is she talking about this one random video about him buying a $100,000 car? But I promise this will be important in just a second. We're now going to talk about Ava Kris Tyson. Ava was the very first subscriber on the MrBeast channel. She is Jimmy Donaldson's best friend. They've been friends since childhood, and Tyson is heavily, heavily featured on the channel. I don't know exactly if this is true because obviously I'm not watching MrBeast content. I only watched what I had to for this video, but I think Tyson is the person that is featured most apart from Jimmy Donaldson himself, because before, obviously, MrBeast really blew up. A lot of the videos were just Jimmy and Ava.
Want to be healthy? You can.
Happy birthday. Wrap it up and tell us what you like. Tell us what you think in the comments.
After the blow up, Jimmy, Ava, all of their friends became extremely famous to children all around the world. There are 300 million subscribers on MrBeast's channel, and the vast, vast majority of those are young children. The allegations surrounding Ava Kris Tyson are extremely serious, and they're being accused of being in Discord servers with young minors, sending them very, very inappropriate messages, and also sending them images and being a fan of this disgusting art that is called lolly. And I'm sure a lot of people haven't heard of it before this whole situation, but it is basically drawings or art of young children being depicted in a sexual manner, and it's really, really disgusting. And there's a lot of other allegations of this sort of nature surrounding Ava Kris Tyson. A lot of the Discord messages and everything have been released. A lot of people have discussed them in detail. There's a lot of other similar allegations surrounding Ava, like sharing the revenge porn of the Nickelodeon star Jeanette McCurdy. Just really disgusting stuff. I don't want to repeat a bunch of things that other people have said in videos, because I'm sure a lot of people watching this have seen a lot of other MrBeast videos. So I will leave videos that go into a lot more detail about the allegations down below in the sources as well. There are many former MrBeast employees who have spoken about how openly Ava talked about being a fan of this art style at the company, and they also have said there were a lot of other people who discussed it as well, and they also made incredibly inappropriate and very disgusting jokes aimed at children, and it just in this sort of arena.
I'm the first manager that ever worked there. His name was Dan. Sorry, Dan. And he was actually a really good guy, but everyone was consistently making these jokes wildly inappropriate about his like 5-year-old kid.
Ew.
And so,
Whoa.
I know.
Like what?
And so, like, gonna go home and fuck insert name. Like
what?
The craziest thing.
Who was saying that?
I know. Well, Ava, Jimmy, it was like the thing. It was like
they
funny.
They also have all spoken about the fact that Ava in particular was a big fan of a certain artist, lolly artist called Shadman. After the initial allegations came out, it really was a wave of things that were surfacing, because it just seemed like every hour people were finding more and more things. People were really digging into Tyson's account and lots of other accounts that they had on Reddit and places like that. And eventually the Discord messages were released too. So people started making their way through those. And MrBeast and his company had to kind of act because so many people were discussing this, and obviously a lot of people were very, very angry and upset by these allegations. So Ava and Jimmy Donaldson both released statements, although they did contradict each other. Donaldson said that he had fired Ava and that they wouldn't be at the company anymore, but Ava's statement said that they had mutually decided that Ava would step away from the channel and everything MrBeast. So as I said, people were digging into Ava's social media accounts, and this was when someone came across interactions on Twitter with Donaldson himself, MrBeast, and this Shadman artist. MrBeast allegedly replied to one of Shadman's tweets that had a drawing, and he replied with a picture of himself, I'll put it on the screen, and text saying, oh, this is everything we've ever wanted, we can quit now. In his statement, he said that he knew nothing about Ava or what was going on and was shocked by it. When the allegations first came out, a lot of people were discussing, did MrBeast know or didn't he? So when people found this tweet, they were thinking, oh, well, maybe he did know. And I know even initially, a lot of people were thinking, well, they've been friends forever. They live together. They're so involved in each other's lives. They work together. They're together constantly. Wouldn't he know this about his friend? Although some people keep secrets like that from their friends, but when you're looking at what the former MrBeast employees said, it seemed to be openly discussed.
So, and it's so crazy, especially when people are like, yeah, he had no idea about Chris's whatever. It's like, bro, that was like a funny joke to them.
So do you think Jimmy knew about all this stuff and they just didn't, he just thought, maybe he would laughed about it but didn't know how serious it was? Like, what's your take on Jimmy's?
Well, I to be fair, and even in my original video, I've said, like, I've tried to be as fair as possible. I don't think Jimmy had any idea about them meeting up with people. I just don't know. I feel like that was like Ava's dirty secret at the time, but they definitely knew about the lolly. That was like so funny to them. They're like, yeah, look at the lolly Discord. Did you check the lolly Discord?
Oh,
it's like,
shit.
Bro, I know. I was,
What?
I had worked there for like 2 weeks when they were like, yo, you mess with lolly, bro. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. And so,
Who asked you that?
absolutely
What?
insane.
Who asked you
I know,
that?
and at the time, I'm 18. I didn't want to get sued when I made my original video, but there was so much stuff going on at the time. There was soliciting prostitution. There was
What?
God,
Wait, you say whatever you want now, boy.
dude, I don't necessarily want to get sued. So this is in Minecraft. I don't know.
But obviously, we don't know for sure. So it could be that he doesn't know. It could be that he'd replied to this Shadman tweet and didn't really even know what it was. Although to me, it doesn't seem likely that that was the case. But again, as I said, people were digging into all of the social media and content, so it wasn't long until more was found. People went back through all of his old videos, the ones that are still up there anyway, and in one of the videos, tipping pizza delivery drivers $100.
Probably take a step back, but now be like shocked, like have your hands over your face, like you're emotional as you can be. So like have your hand reaching for it and then like be like shocked, like you're spread out the money as much as you can. No, hold, now act a little surprised. Like be like really shocked with your mouth open. Yeah, like that. Okay.
There are a few clips of Donaldson, Tyson, and their friends in the living room of the house that Donaldson and Tyson are sharing and living together in. There are a few quick clips where you can see that they're all sitting around on the phone call and there is a visible poster on the wall. And in a few split seconds, actually, you can see Jimmy Donaldson looking at this poster. And this poster is one of the pieces of art that Ava had commissioned from this Shadman artist. And anyone who looks at this immediately would know that this is supposed to be a very young child depicted in a disgusting manner. Obviously, I'm not going to show it. I don't even think I could show it because it's YouTube, but there are plenty of places, especially Twitter, that you can see it. But it is basically a young child that has like a hat and stuff on, and they have a gun in their mouth, and it's really gross. If this was a few weeks ago, you could have seen this in the video, as most people saw it when they started talking about it initially. But the MrBeast team actually went back and edited out these parts of the video. So the videos are still up there, but there's seconds shaved off the time, and they have pulled all of the clips where you can see the poster on the wall. So even though the poster was in the living room and we had the screenshot of Jimmy Dawson staring at it, you still couldn't say 100% that he knew what this was. And also, people were giving him the benefit of doubt with the Shadman tweet, and people were saying, well, maybe he didn't know about Ava, like, even though they're lifelong best friends. And people were still saying, well, even though a lot of former MrBeast employees are saying they were all openly discussing this, maybe Jimmy wasn't there, maybe these people are lying. But what if I told you there was more? What if I told you there was another piece to the puzzle that no one else has discussed? And this piece makes it even more difficult to believe that Jimmy Donaldson didn't know anything about this. This was missed because it actually has been deleted from his channel. And I haven't seen anyone else discuss this. And I have been watching a lot of content and reading a lot about this. And for ages, I've been watching videos from like the Cavanacle and Tiffany Ferg about MrBeast, and people are being critical of his content. So if you remember a few minutes ago when we were discussing the video, I bought an i8 BMW that's $100,000. That video has a very interesting clip towards the end. And I actually almost missed this because I just went to look at this video to see this car. And I thought, oh, they've just deleted this because they don't want him to have a video up there that has like $100,000 car on it right after his viral video about giving a homeless person $10,000, and they're trying to put out this whole thing about him only doing stuff to be charitable. So in this BMW video, he starts by sitting in his house. He's sitting in the living room in a similar area to he was in the tipping pizza delivery guys video. And it's actually the opposite way. So he's sitting there and you can see the kitchen behind him. And from other videos, there's a window in front of him, and then there's a wall here. And then there used to be two big TVs. And in another deleted video, Jimmy and Ava are walking around their house, and Jimmy says, this TV is Chris's and this TV is mine. So that's important. And then the poster is actually hanging next to the TVs. So Jimmy records the beginning of the video. It's like a third of the video. And then it cuts to outside in a parking lot where he's showing the car and he's going through the car and talking about it. And then it cuts back for like the last few, maybe it's not even 2 minutes of the video. And he's kind of closing it out, and he's sitting in the same position, but he's obviously not left the camera up. So it's not in the exact same position. And the camera is turned slightly more towards the wall. And in this video, you can see on the wall that the two TVs are gone, but the poster is still on the wall. You can only see the bottom half of it. And you're probably thinking, why are you telling me? We know the poster was there. But in the video, he talks about the fact that for months, Ava hasn't lived there. Ava moved out, and Ava took her TV off the wall.
As before, something has to change, because it's miserable sitting in that fucking room alone all day, editing, writing scripts, filming. I just don't want to do it. And also, Chris, my roommate, moved out, so that doesn't really help either. But as for the car, it's honestly has brought me a lot of joy. I love that car.
So why would someone take their TV and not take their poster? And why would someone live in a house after their roommate has left for months and leave a poster up if they didn't know what it was? That to me is incredibly strange, especially if you add everything else that we've just discussed up, that they've been lifelong friends, that all these former MrBeast employees have talked about how it was openly discussed, how the poster, we have video of him looking at it, how he replied to the Shadman tweet, and how the poster is still hanging in the house months after Ava has moved out. Since the allegations about Ava Kris Tyson, there has been an absolute wave of things that have come out about MrBeast and his company. There's been people speaking out about the new Beast Games, which is a show that MrBeast and Amazon are putting together. Amazon gave MrBeast $100 million. And a lot of people have been speaking out about how the contestants are being treated on the set. And this has been reported in the New York Times. Rosanna Pansino, who is a very big YouTuber herself, has been speaking out about all of this. And a lot of the contestants have been going to Rosanna to share their stories. There also was a former MrBeast employee called Dawson who goes by Dogpack404 on YouTube. And he released 2 videos where he goes over numerous allegations against MrBeast and his company, where he talks about illegal lotteries aimed at children, how harmful it seems the Feastables products are, and the whole mentality behind them being aimed at, again, this whole lottery for kids. And there's a bunch of other allegations. I really don't want to just summarize Dawson's videos, as I think it's much better if you go and watch them. So again, link down below in the sources. Especially in the second video, he talks to another former MrBeast employee, Jake Weddle. And I really think that it's best to just watch both of these videos because Dawson has put them together really well. And also when you listen to Jake talking about his experience, not only working at MrBeast, but what he went through as a participant in one of the videos that was never released because it went so badly, you really feel what Jake is going through because he really bears it all on camera. And actually, before Dawson's videos came out, I saw he had tweeted and he was saying that Ava Kris Tyson was the tip of the iceberg. And 2 days later, when he released his video, I was already following him. So when I went to watch the video, I don't even think it had 10,000 views. And I immediately started wondering how someone went from being a MrBeast employee, and I mean, the logical conclusion I came to was that he was a fan of MrBeast, because I don't think there's a ton of people that work there that aren't fans or aren't at least like into YouTube. So Dawson was talking about how long he'd worked there, and it was a few months. And I was thinking, how does someone go from working there and being a fan and then a few months later releasing these videos with all of these allegations? Because a lot of the stuff too that he talked about, it was clear that he'd watched, if not all, like a ton of MrBeast content. And I actually found his old Reddit account, not the one he uses now. And I was so surprised and also impressed by, he wasn't just active on the MrBeast subreddit. He was actually putting together videos and presentations to pitch himself to MrBeast and the company. And these aren't just like little 5-minute videos. These videos are really well made and just go into such minute detail. And he really gets into the minutia of the details, and he talks about ideas that he has for videos. And it is just really impressive that he was putting all of this together and pitching it as a job. Like, he was doing it obviously in his free time. And I also came across things that he was talking about in comments to other people on the subreddit about how he was going through like a difficult time financially, which makes it even more impressive that he put these videos out without monetizing them, because I imagine if those videos were monetized, they'd be probably a similar RPM to mine because of the length and like the content and the audience. And he would have made into the six figures if he had monetized these videos. So I do think that that speaks volumes that he didn't, especially since he was saying he wasn't in the best place financially. And I also saw a comment from him where he was speaking about why he wanted to work at MrBeast. And he was saying he'd spent like the last decade working for a lot of other big YouTubers, and he'd had something happen where he realized the content that he was making wasn't doing good for the world. And he wanted to work for MrBeast because he thought that he was doing good. And he said he thought that MrBeast had the potential to be the most influential person of our time. And it just makes me think, what did he see that in February he's spending hours and hours and hours and days and weeks making videos to pitch himself to the company, to then releasing these videos in July? It just doesn't seem like it's a few little things. Hi guys, editing Ash here. I misspoke there. I shouldn't have said little things. I just meant that the stuff in Dawson's first video is primarily things that were publicly available to put together. And he obviously can't speak about things he saw at the company because he's bound by an NDA. But he also didn't know, I'm assuming, about the registered offender that was working at MrBeast because Jake Weddle and other former Beast employees told him. Basically, I'm just trying to say there had to be more that was seen, but obviously I understand he can't share that because of his NDA. And I know he is releasing a third video soon with, it sounds like, some very, very, very serious accusations. So I guess we'll learn more when he releases his third video. I think there's a lot more going on, and obviously he's bound by an NDA, but I do know he's working on a third video. I did just want to put this video out because when I found that clip, I thought that it should come out. I'm not saying it's like some huge thing, but I do think that it adds a bit of information and is important context. But I'm supposed to be going to Europe in 12 hours, so I'm like desperately trying to edit this after I finish filming. But there's so much more that I want to talk about. Feastables especially, I've found so much about that. And also there is a lot about the gambling lottery stuff that I have a lot of background in that because unfortunately when I was in my 20s, I did work in gaming, and I really would like to do a second video. I don't know how this is going to do because sometimes current events on my channel aren't anything amazing. So if this video doesn't really do well, I could still do a second one and release it on my Patreon. But again, there's so much more to talk about. Beast games, Feastables, illegal lotteries. There's this whole thing with the internal structure of that company. And again, that channel I referenced in the beginning, BJ Investigates, it's actually on her second channel, sorry, it's That Surprise Witness. She actually goes over a lot of documents about how the company is structured, and she also talks about this power of attorney and a lot of the hierarchy, it seems, within MrBeast and this other company, Rubber Duck, which has taken, anytime they were going to get into controversy, it seems that they use this company. Like there was an incident on a mountain where they were going to be fined for like littering, so they put it through this company than MrBeast. So BJ's video and all of the sources, all of the other creators I've been watching, there's Quinn Theo, Cam Nuggets, they're doing a lot of like the minutia and just covering pretty much everything that's coming out about those topics. So there's some other creators to watch. And of course, Rosanna Pansino, Dogpack 4 Ava404 and Jake Weddle. So if you want to see another video, let me know down below. I, of course, am working on a different separate video anyway, so there'll be a video regardless. If you made it to the end of the video, please leave MVP down below so I can thank you for watching, because I know this wasn't my usual type of video, but I've linked all of my social media, my Patreon and Miss G's social media down below. Thank you again so much for watching, and as always, make sure to stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.